Jeff, when we covered Daniel 3, this viewer asked, I always wondered why was Daniel not called out for falling down and worshiping the golden statue?
Great question. In fact, this is one of those questions, if I could categorize questions that generally people don't like the biblical answer to, this generally falls into that category. Now, at the end of chapter 2, the book of Daniel, whom we know as Daniel has interpreted Nebuchadnezzar's dream. He is given a position of great prominence. In fact, the Bible says at the very last verse of chapter 2, he is sitting in the king's gate. Why is that important? Chapter 3 is the famous Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego story. What most people traditionally have said is that Daniel was on some journey, on an assignment by the king, and therefore that's why he did not, quote, worship the golden statue or was not a part of the famous fiery furnace. However, that's a lot of conjecture. And here's the argument I would make. Biblically speaking, the last thing we hear is he's in the king's gate. Then chapter 3, he's nowhere to be found. Were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego more faithful than he? Quite possibly. And a lot of people struggle with that because we put Daniel on such a great pedestal. But here's how I see the story. God gave him a second chance. Because in chapter 4, Daniel again is a part of the story of God's redemption plan and all this. So, yes, I see it possibly as a failure on the part of Daniel's sake, but also, more importantly, God giving him a second chance like he does for each and every one of us every single day of our lives. It's kind of one of those tough questions, but we have to go with what the Bible says, and the Bible does not say he was on assignment. Great question. If you have one, send to askjeff.net. Maybe your question be tomorrow's.